Obey Alliance versus SK Gaming. That's next up on the docket. Tom Bannister here with Ryan Bailey, F.Aggro. Call us whatever you want, just don't call us late for dinner. Second set of the day, looking to be very exciting.
Yeah, SK needs to kind of get some momentum here, but at the same token, Obey does as well. They've had a pretty rough start to Season 5, and this is an opportunity for them to get a much-needed win.
Yeah, we saw the other side of the support trade earlier today. Energy made quick work of Team Dignitas, as per usual, I'll say. Energy has been very, very successful as of late. Obey has had some stutter steps. I think every time we see them take the field, they do look a little bit better, working the kinks out with iRaffer, going up against SK Gaming, a little bit different of an opponent here.
This is basically a must-win in my mind for Obey. When you've had a rough start like this to the start of spring, these are the games you have to win against the bottom end, and the bottom end is very difficult now. Don't get me wrong. Top 6 teams, these teams are very competitive, but SK is still looking like one of the worst, if not the worst SPL team right now. Obey has to win this set.
I'm with you on that. It's cut and dry. Obey out of the gate, struggled, have to get things going now. Obey Alliance. Obey's a team on the other side of the support trade. Letting go of Emilzy, picking up iRaffer. Personally, I thought this team was going to really flourish with it. We haven't quite seen iRaffer work out, but we've seen glimpses of greatness from these guys. Ataraxia is working, Prime's working. It's just a moment of time, and these guys are going to strike. Whoever was doing that voiceover really nailed it. The talent on this team beyond iRaffer is certainly there. So for me, it's just a matter of time till Obey actually get the wins, and this set has to be it.
I thought you were talking about the talent, the talent on the team that we have, and you're like, man, the talent that we have with the voiceover is included. It's just impressive stuff. No, you're right. Obey is a team that needs to be doing a little bit better because they should be doing better.
Yeah.
They're just a team of really talented players. Remember, this squad went to the finals in season 3, excuse me. Had a really good run at season 4 Worlds as well. This is a really talented roster, and they would be the first to say that they've underachieved so far. There's a reason that expectations are so high. It's because of guys like CaptainTwig who can do so many things for you on the battlefield.
One of the things that I really like about Obey is how many assists per game these guys get. Higher than most of the other teams out there, and that really speaks to their play style, where they're consistently looking for these team engagements. Very rarely about the 1v1. It's always including CaptainTwig, and that's really where Obey kind of makes their money. Bringing in a different support, that's going to make things a little bit wonky for a team that revolves around the setup man. CaptainTwig is going to, or Raffer now joining CaptainTwig in the facilitation role. Again, something that is going to work out in the long term, I think. Right now, it had some trouble sort of getting out of the gate, but we've said it a couple of times now. This is the game that they take the win.
But on the same token, I think I'd like to see Obey switch it up a little bit until that chemistry is there and ready. PrettyPriMe is one of the premier mid laners in the world, not just in Europe. I just want to see Obey feed Prime. He is the guy right now, and mid lane is so impactful. Let CaptainTwig take him off that facilitator role. Give him the Nemesis, the Circuit built damage, by the way, the Ratatosker with damage, please, and then let him, those two really drive the game for you. Also have to give shout-outs where it's due. Ataraxia, despite the struggles for Obey so far, has had a really, really good season, consistently near the top of the player damage charts. Can't say that for a lot of ADCs. Just give your carries opportunities to make carry plays. Let the team fighting, chemistry come together throughout the season.
That's Obey's story, as we said, going head-to-head against SK Gaming. Gaming. Look, SK Gaming took a while to get off the ground, but this team is not going to be left behind. Elite talent like Lawbster, elite talent like Funballer. These guys don't drop it. They're going to look forward. They're going to look at some of the mistakes they made, make changes. SK Gaming headed towards the top. Quite literally, SK going to make some changes here. Badger support, benched. Kicking in a new player here to replace him for this week.
WhoDaBest going to be filling off that role in the support role. And look, Badger, I know, been around for a long time, came back, after a break. It was already time for me. He looked not good. I'll come out and say it right away. He looked pretty bad for SK and was a big reason why I thought that they were struggling. Now, they're also struggling elsewhere. It's not just on one player. It never is. but this is a step in the right direction, I think. Just getting a clean slate. I don't know if WhoDaBest is going to be their long-term solution in the support role, but even just, the idea that they're willing to make changes, are looking at the roster, and are going to try and improve to move forward. This is a good sign for SK.
I'm right there with you. Again, whoever winds up in the support role, I'm very excited because there's a number of talented support players in the minor league. Maybe we see the first call-up. But Lawbster and Funballer are the two people that was brought up in that promo. And, I do find myself asking if they truly are still elite these days. But I really hope that with some other supporting staff that these guys are going to be able to bring the pain, because Funballer and Lawbster are guys that don't really like to give up, and that type of attitude generally is rewarded here in the SPL.
Look, they've been around for so long. You go through ups and downs during your time in the SPL. It's just part of competition, is that sometimes you've got a really good team, sometimes you got a team that needs some things to work on. Right now, SK has a lot to work on, but like I said, making that roster change in the support role, a step in the right direction. Lawbster and Funballer have to keep their heads in it, because sometimes when you've been around for so long, it's easy to just get frustrated and go, whatever, we'll just be here because we're Funballer and Lawbster, right? In Season 5, that is just not the case. There's too much talent ready and available to jump into the SPL. These guys have to start performing sooner rather than later.
And I think specifically I'm going to talk to Funballer simply because I know Kieran better than I know Lawbster. I spoke to him. He was streaming Sea of Thieves actually, and I was talking to him about how Smite was going, and he's like, "Look, man, I'm just focused. I want to win. We're not doing that right now, and I get it, but it's not like it has been in the past. A lot of the focus is on the game right now for these boys, and if you're an SK fan, you hope this is a team that I think a lot of people are sitting there like, man, I wish you were good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, fan favorites. How could you not love the way that Funballer plays the game when he's at his best? Same can be said for Lawbster. A lot of people behind Faeles and Ducky as well. So I know there's a lot of people rooting for him.
Obey with the first pick. Select Thoth. SK Gaming going to respond with a Soul. I think Soul, one of the more devastating characters here. The bans, Obey focused in the jungle, making sure to put Faeles at shortening up his god pool, where SK also do the same, focusing on the Circuit and the Ratatasker.
But Dodgy and Nemesis both left open with 4 assassin bans, both of those still available. So Nemesis taken away by SK. I like this selection. CaptainTwig kind of vibes with the Nemesis a little bit more than the Dodgy. Like we mentioned, a little bit more setup oriented, kind of prefers that team fighting sort of god. Nemesis does that very well. Chulainn can team fight as well, but I would love to see a Dodgy pick here. Ullr is pretty good as well, though. I'm not upset about an Ullr pick. As I mentioned, Ataraxia has had a pretty good season despite Obey's struggles, and giving him a priority god makes sense to me.
Ullr coming through for Obey. Been a very successful pick this season so far, despite not being, and I think it's funny because Ullr dominated towards the end of Season 4 and doing the same thing as Janus is selected for SK Gaming. I think it's a little bit different. I think Ullr dominated the end of Season 4 and the very beginning of Season 5 because of how powerful of a hunter he was. Now I find him being very powerful because of how effective of a ability user he is.
I mean, he could do it all. That's kind of what Ullr's thing is, right? You don't have to pigeonhole yourself into, oh, I'm only here for my auto attacks, or I'm only here for my abilities. That's what makes him so potent.
Well, a lot of those hunters that rely on the basic attacks right now, itemization just doesn't feel like it's there for them. And a lot of people feel like they're coming up short. That's why we see the Souls. That's why we see Emil play Nuwa, right? Yeah. So Ullr goes, word, hunters aren't good. Guess what? I can stand switch. And he still has it going on. So this character making it all the way here into Season 5. Amaterasu going to be chosen for SK Gaming here.
A lot of assassin bans again by SK, going for the Dodgy and Arachne, something that CaptainTwig has played quite a bit. Erlang Shen locked in. I imagine that's going to be, could be support, but could be jungle. Either one. It's kind of dependent on what Obey wants to go for in this situation. Still some pretty good assassin on the board. Hun Bats comes to mind, but Geb being that last pick tells me that, that Erlang Shen is going to be in the jungle. And you know what? I like it. It can be aggressive, but again, it's there for the team fighting. I'd just love to see CaptainTwig plant himself in mid lane and make sure that Prime can get off to a good start on this Thoth. This composition for me from Obey is make sure Prime gets to do whatever he wants. Geb, Erlang, Shen, Chulainn, plenty of frontline, plenty of setup. This is Prime's game to win.
Thoth is 100% pick ban rate for a reason here in Season 5. Really powerful stuff. Give it to PrettyPriMe. Let him do his thing. Wukong, the last selection for SK Gaming, not the most popular character.
No.
I actually want your thoughts on on this god before we go?
A little bit surprising to see it, but still kind of the master of all trades. Not just a jack, but can do everything very, very well. It's just that there are opportunities where he gets outshone by other gods in that solo lane. This is fairly safe. It brings you a team fight presence. He shouldn't be killed too often. I think it's a pretty good pick here.
Obey, SK with a new support. All eyes on that duo lane. All eyes on Hindu and Toli.
Hey, here's my real name. Hey, doing, Toli?
Good. I'm excited.
This should be a good one. Obey versus SK. SK, trials and tribulations so far. Badger now replaced. We'll see how his new replacement gets in line. Changes to support role is kind of rough.
Support is a very important position to try to plug and play. Sometimes you look at filler roles, you look at the solo lane, you look at the hunter position, because as long as you have, a high experienced mechanical player, as long as they don't feed, they should eventually transition with the synergy of the team. But support role, where you're the front line, and sometimes you make the shot calls, sometimes your jungler makes the shot calls. There's a lot of pressure on this new support.
Well, what do you guys at home think is a real question? At the moment, you can get your vote in and say who you think will win. I think most of the chat are probably going to go Obey here.
Sure. Obey has a lot of formidable names. SK has been struggling. It's a no-brainer if you're following by that standards. But honestly, Obey has been struggling a little bit. And this is going to be a true proving ground. Is this a fluke, or are they back at it?
Well, when we get into this game, we'll find out exactly how this one all plays out between these two teams. Very excited for this best of 3, as always. SK looking to try and get themselves some wins with their replacement WhoDaBest. Well, WhoDaBest used to play on Eager.
He's not on. This isn't Team Eager.
No,
it's
not Tony.
But this is SK Gaming.
He's asking who the best is. He's not saying he is the best. You know what I mean? So he's asking who the best is.
He's not Jeremy Daly.
No, not this time.
That's who's the best. So that's the answer.
So CaptainTwig going to be playing the Erlang Shen in the jungle. Interesting to see. Did get a couple of buffs, Toli. So I guess, that could help a little bit more. Basic attack speed increased a little bit, which means he's going to be throwing out a little bit more damage with that doggo over his in tow.
Especially when you pop the first ability steroids, you're going to be getting that more frequently, especially when you're basic attack in these jungle camps. Assassin's Blessing is going to help him clear it ever so quickly, especially once you use that mink, getting a lot of attack speed.
One interesting factor is Ducky versus Xaliea in the solo lane. Teleport for Xaliea, whereas Ducky has gone for the sprint. He can kind of get away with this, Tolly, because he is some Wukong with that bird form and the 10 extra damage to Jingle Bang, I guess.
It's also important that he can easily poke and proc that Warrior's Blessing from a safe distance. And it's been such a refreshing thing to see Ducky playing the SPL here, because Obey had been also doing their homework, and they ban away Camisots first thing first, realizing how much of a threat Ducky is on that god.
Well, I mean, that's not the worst start in terms of voting goes this time round, because I've seen it a little bit worse than that for SK. I believe it was like 92% to 8-1 in one of the games I casted last week.
I think it was against Energy.
Yeah.
Potentially.
So they've got more faith against Obey, is what they're saying. The SK fans, a couple more of them voting that way. Early pressure, very interesting there. In the end, Ataraxia went to mid lane, then didn't do anything, and then rotates to the left-hand side to just start farming up there instead. Interesting decision making as WhoDaBest left on his own. Welcome to the SPL, my friend. Gets an axe in his face and a blink, forced to sprint, gets knocked up. Don't think you needed the sprint there, the blink there from iRaffer, but just not enough damage.
I think what he wanted to do was, find the knockup and then find the body blocks afterwards. Ataraxia gonna find out the stun, but the rotations from SK Gaming gonna stop the purple buff invade for now.
Yeah, it didn't end up going into the enemy jungle. SK Gaming could have looked with the duo pressure they got in mid lane to try and invade that red and maybe even the purple, but instead defended their own half of the map, which is more important. Some Wukong versus Chulainn. We've seen a lot of Guardians in the solo lane lately, Toli. It's nice to see 2 warriors this time, and we might see some kills.
It's very true. Against Chulainn, it's very important to try to play a little bit safe. That's why Ducky's keeping his distance, doesn't want to get hit by all that vent anger and the ground slam. But that's why Guardians are being picked. They want to be a little bit more safe, get the sustain off with Sobek, for example. But as a Sun Wukong player, a god that hasn't seen a lot of limelight in Season 5, his transition to these team fights are going to be all about isolating that one target and trying to stun him out with a Tiger, trying to find the slow.
Who should that target be, though? Should it really Thoth? I feel Thoth is the one he should be going after, right?
Thoth is possible, but that dash just covers so much distance. You would have to really use your ultimate trying to just chase him through the dash, through the wall.
Well, maybe it'll be Ataraxia then on that Ullr that'll be the focal point for Ducky on that Sun Wukong as this game continues. Book of Thoth start for Lawbster being rushed at the moment. Have seen some people rush the Soul Reaver, however. So I don't think you want to do that. I don't know if you really want to do that on Janus.
I mean, it's more effective, I think, personally, to rush Book of Thoth before Soul Reaver, because the way Soul Reaver works is you get 10% extra damage based on your opponent's health. At this stage of the game, when you're everyone's like levels 5 to 8, you don't have that much health to play with, so Soul Reaver is not going to be proccing as much as it would be once they're like level 12 and above, and they might have some of these health items.
Funballer on the Soul, dashing from WhoDaBest there on the Amaterasu, but didn't really find a home as much as he wanted onto iRaffer. Who eats a little bit of poke, but that's all iRaffer ever gets onto him. He's used to being beat up a little bit in the early game. Bit of an invade coming out from Obey on the right-hand side, though, looking to strip away those back harpies.
They spawn every 60 seconds. You can look at your own mini-map side to see when the enemy's back harpies are coming up. Ducky
Sprint
in a little bit of trouble.
By Ducky as now he has the Tiger Stun on CaptainTwig. CaptainTwig took around too long. He's going to fall down for first blood. I don't even know what that call was. Ducky just sat and ate some poke while Faeles came round. First blood for Ducky. That's going to help him out.
That's right. Xaliea was just a little bit too far away to assist his jungler. Wanting to invade the blue buff against this warrior assassin combination is not a good look. And this was a team fight that happened even before level 5 in a meta where junglers are going for all these assassins items. Erlang Shen is one of these kind of tanks. So you want to build him a little bit hybrid. He's not going to get the full benefit if that's going to be the build from CaptainTwig.
So I guess he's going to go for, more than likely the Crusher, which is kind of standard for any sort of jungler to start. I mean, with the way his build's at now, I'm expecting Crusher maybe? Or is it Jotun?
Well, the thing is about Erlang Shen is he's more of an basic attack damage character than an ability-based character. So I'm not expecting Crusher necessarily.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we see either Executioner or Chin Size on him eventually in his build.
Twig came back from base, went straight to the speed, stole it away. Janus
no
did
mana
ult across Lawbster, but didn't manage to find the kill. Although Prime, like you said, out of mana. Nice Aegis to avoid the unstable Vortex, but Prime's still in trouble. He needs some support. Got a tiny bit out from Erlang Shen then, but now the dream is collapsing.
The
2 kills
portal through
for
the
Ducky.
dash. He caught the dash, Hindu.
You enjoy that too much.
He caught the dash. It's so refreshing to see plays like that. It's not every
Do you
day.
mean to see Thoth die? Is that what you mean?
Oh, yeah. Everyone wants to see this god just get eliminated from the battlefield, and that's exactly what happened. PrettyPriMe over ambitious, thinking that his ultimate would have found the kill onto Faeles. It would have been close. I don't think it would have actually found the kill. It would have left him at 10% health. Granted, with that health threshold, Faeles would have backed on out, so it would have been only Ducky and Lawbster chasing down PrettyPriMe, but great pickoff. Not only did they lock down CaptainTwig earlier, but now they also find the mid laner to follow suit.
I mean, realistically, though, that was technically Twig's fault why Prime died. Prime went to support his jungler, who was so deep looking for a speed. He did get out, but unfortunately, Prime will fall instead.
And that's the problem when you're facing off against a Janus. It's difficult to kill them. They're going to run away, and then it's difficult to run away because they're going to catch up to you. The mobility is through the roof. And now, keep in mind, Janus will shine in the early game, and then later on, as the game progresses, this Amaterasu support is going to start leveling up that aura to increase the movement speed for her teammates.
So even more mobility for SK Gaming. So not only is Prime down a kill, and so is CaptainTwig, but Ducky's up 2, which means that's going to affect Xaliea in that solo lane as well. So Obey at a disadvantage across 3 positions at the moment, and Faeles looking to capitalize some more now on this right-hand side, potentially.
It's possible that he could look for a kill with the Divine Judgment, having Warrior Tab by complete, but Xaliea should be okay to survive that one. And I'm looking at this deficit here. SK Gaming, we know all these 2 kills, they've only got themselves about a 500-600 goal lead. It's nothing to write home about, so they need to find ways to slowly stretch it out. Look for some back harpy camp invades the same way Twig was doing.
Ataraxia going to be quite a bit of poke there from WhoDaBest, who came in with the silence to follow up. Raph is in tow, though, so Ataraxia will be fine for the time being. Build-wise, though, Ataraxia already got that Transcendence stacking up. This seems to be the call for all Ulls at the moment is Tier 2 of Transcendence, get it online as quick quick as possible.
But the thing is, when you're doing this rush, you're not having Hunter's Blessing, so you're diminishing a lot of basic attack damage and the attack speed once you evolve that Blessing. You could also opt to go for a Blessing afterwards anyway. It's a great bridge
That's
item
true.
for only 700 gold. You're getting, I believe, 30 basic attack damage once it's evolved and that 15% attack speed.
Well, it's also about what we see the builds go into, because taking into account, with the patch, we saw Iqval get buffed, but
That's
we're not seeing
true.
too much of those bridge items really come into play yet.
That's true. Even Silver Branch could be an option just to get some more attack speed if that's the idea here. Ullr is one of these gods that is flexible in both the ability-based builds and the in-hand builds, so there's not really a wrong way to build an Ullr.
All right, left-hand side, Funballer just bit off a bit more than he could do on his own. WhoDaBest was not in a position to support there, so Funballer falls down, and Obey finally answered back to the first 2 kills of the game. And in a lane they needed to kind of win, I guess, Tolly, knowing that they're against a rookie support to the Pro League, and their other lanes have been struggling.
That's true. Picking off this soul is so important. Shutting down Funballer is so difficult to keep a soul locked down with the disapparate. Even having to use purification beads was not enough for Funballer to get out of the thick of things. And once these team fights start rolling around, he should be in a safer spot as long as he's positioning himself next to Lawbster, using the threshold to increase his movement speed, using his portals to go through the walls.
And WhoDaBest going to be a little careful in that lane, but in mid lane, stun onto Faeles, but Prime going to eat some poke before he can get his Aegis off. Unstable Vortex still hit. The Aegis didn't last long enough. And now CaptainTwig turns up just a little bit too late to make anything happen for his team. 3-1, SK Gaming.
Very delayed Aegis, unfortunately, by Prime. He ate literally every ability. He
All of it.
absorbed one basic attack at best with that relic. This is the difference, though, between Nemesis and Erlang Shen. That Nemesis shield, which can heal you before every 90 seconds, as opposed to the ultimate from Erlang.
Ooh, nice little attempt from iRaffer there, just with the shockwave, trying to steal that one away. But at max range, it does less damage, so very, very unlikely he would find the kill there. Ducky going very deep in the jungle, looking to strip away some experience. Could be in a bit of trouble here against Xaliea, but did slow Xaliea down on that little paddle in hand. Paddle or a big old stick? What's better?
It's a paddle.
You reckon the paddle's better
Yeah.
than some Wukong's Jingle Bang? The big old stick?
The club. I call it
Yeah.
the club.
Is that a club?
Looks like a club. It's got some spikes out there, then like the tip is just thicker on the end.
That's true.
Yeah.
Whereas the paddle's a little bit wider.
Yeah, that's true.
It's better
One's
for
long-
it's
one's
better for
long-
slapping. One's better for clubbing and one's better for slapping.
One's longer and the other's thicker. Which one's better?
Answers on a postcard. Tweet him at Tolly. He wants to know right-hand side. Xaliea, a little bit overextended here, putting the pressure on Ducky. Has to ult himself to get away. Reflected a lot of damage that fails there. But that's all there will be at the end of that, as Xaliea gets a nice ultimate off as he de-transforms to make sure that SK relieve the pressure on him.
You know, SK Gaming, after getting a 9-minute Gold Fury, that's one way that they can, you know, start building a foundation of a lead. Getting themselves almost a 2,000 goal lead is important in Season 5, considering, you know, the later stages of the game. It's difficult to close out games. It's trying to find the right angles, the right opportunities, and finding the right picks. So SK Gaming, off to a great start, I'd say.
Yeah, in a very comfortable position. But then again, we saw Dignitas do that in Game 1 against Energy today. They were in a great position in the early game, Tolly, and it swung on its head. So still all to play for. And as the game goes on, you're looking at objective secure, which is always going to be an important factor. And then not just objective secure, but then it's like base defense or tower sieges.
That's true.
And all three of those things, there's a certain mid laner that Obey have that
Yeah,
is great
that's
at all
true.
of them.
And Janus is not too shabby either.
No.
Through space and time, can find its home on some enemy gods, or even just being used to clear out multiple waves. If you know how to angle it just right, you can clear out some good long-distant waves.
Well, Xaliea just won lane at 10.5 minutes in. He took the tower.
That's it. That's how you win
That's the
lane.
rule, right?
Yeah, you kill your solo laner,
But he's not killed his
and
solo
you
lane.
kill the tower.
He's not killed his solo lane. His enemy has actually got 2 kills
Oh,
already.
that's true. Yeah, he has 0 deaths.
Does that mean he still won though because he got the tower?
You got to get the tower and the kill.
Oh, okay. We'll see if Xaliea...
Well, I guess if you think about joust rules, or dual rules, I guess you could say, it's
2
either
kills.
2 kills or a tower.
So Ducky won because he had 2 kills before the tower went.
But he didn't kill Xaliea.
That's true. Well, Ducky's just going to try and freeze this wave here. Xalia's just trying to soak experience through the wall without overextending because he's going to be careful of that Janus in the mid lane that could always look to rotate or at least bring Faeles in for a rotation. And he is causing a lot of pressure on this right-hand side by being so far up in this lane. Problem with taking the tower, Tolly, is you're given this tricky predicament now where you're like,
Yeah.
well, what do I do next?
If you're being allowed to freeze the lane so far deep, though, SK Gaming is going to farm freely in the soul lane, yes, but Obey Alliance can still make some plays happen in the middle or left if Ducky's just going to camp there. Not going for any sort of stacking items. Both of these soul laners going for the Gladiator Shield and what probably is going to be a Mergardian male, receiving a little bit of a buff.
A little bit of a buff?
It's a little bit of a buff.
Okay.
Now, no longer RNG based. It's guaranteed to slow the movement speed and attack speed, stacking up to 2 times, 15% movement speed, and I think about 10% attack speed.
You played a lot of solo, Tolly, through the years. You're telling me, is Mergardian like core on solo laners now?
I would say it depends who you're against, and I would look at both compositions, and I would say yes. Erlang, Shen, and Ullr, you want to be able to slow their movement speed and attack speed. On the flip side, you got Nemesis, Soul, and Amaterasu. Yeah, I'm buying Mergardian Male on either Soul laner here.
Do you think it's worth it just to deal with like one hunter, like a Rama?
No, if it's only against one hunter, I would still not purchase that because I would rather go Thorns and Hide of Nemean Lion just to actually get them to stop playing the game.
That's fair. Fair enough. Tolly's been ending a few careers in his time, that's for sure. Back RP is being done by CaptainTwig, WhoDaBest was trying to get a little bit greedy on there, started to rotate around a little bit more. He's actually behind that of iRaffer, though, the new support for SK Gaming. Don't know if he's a permanent replacement. We just know that he is replacing Badger for at least this week, or so we've been told. We'll find out if that continues. Prime going to contest, and I believe WhoDaBest got those.
It's not a bad idea to look for that contest with some teammates right behind you. Janus could bail you out if you get into a sticky situation. It's one of those things where if you see an opponent dash, you'd be like, oh, their escape is down. Let's go on them. And then, oh, wait, no. They got Janus. Let him go.
And speaking of the Janus, look at that build coming through from Intoli. Double stacking. Not seen that in a little while. It's always something that people like to flirt with Warlock Sash and Book of Thoth online. Could be quite useful for him as game goes on.
Oh, going on in. WhoDaBest with the ultimate Faeles. Eliminates Twig. Second death of the game.
Now Prime's in trouble too. Has to dash back towards the tower. Double dash from Faeles wasn't used there. Jingle Bang was good. Ducky should get this kill. In and out. But the Aegis and the axe from Ataraxia will keep him up with the clone. The clone! Run from the clone! The beatdown! Go, clone, go! Oh, he survived!
So close to finding PrettyPriMe.
Oh no!
Faeles.
He's got blink.
He wants
He's got blink.
He sees it.
Oh,
Too
he backed in time.
Faeles.
Drop kill from SK Gaming there, but PrettyPriMe will be counting his lucky stars. Or saying calculated. Funballer trading with Ataraxia though, and Ataraxia was just trying to get back to lane. Fails now in the rotation. Double dash is down. Ataraxia will fall. And as you said, the Duke of the Axe was the most important thing there.
Just playing a true to the character, playing the Nemesis, the ninja skin as well, just gives you an unfair passive. You could just juke out abilities like that.
Totally, this is a rough situation for Obey fans. I mean, recently, you know, they had one roster change with iRaffer coming in, and they have not looked great so far. They've kind of struggled with this meta. I don't think the individual players are an issue in the Pro League anymore. I think it's just what meta fits these teams.
And I think Obey is not one of these teams that usually starts off slow at all. They're very innovative with what they do between picks and bans, between itemization choices. We look at their sixth man, specifically Hazer, the coach rather. He's always one to try to break the meta and try to figure out what works best for his cast of characters. And so far, it has not been successful for Obey.
And the hardest thing is going to be really for iRaffer more than anything else. I mean, he's the replacement from Milsey on this roster, and everyone will look at this now and go, is it because iRaffer's on this team? Is it iRaffer that's the weak point because he's not gelling with the team? Well, I don't think so, but many fans will see it.
I would agree with you there. It's unfair to assess that being the contributing cause to the unsuccess from Obey Alliance. They still just need to figure out what works out for them as a whole team unit.
It's a
Captain
trap.
Twig!
It's a trap. Run, turtle, run. That's the fastest turtle I've seen in a while. Does manage to get away from the two ultimates that came out there. Lawbster's through space and time, and Faeles' Nemesis ult came into play. But he will escape. They really focus on this Erlang Shen, totally.
VVVA just set up an ambush right here for CaptainTwig because they know he wants to play aggressive. He's looking for these invades. It's like a shot in the dark sometimes that I feel he's going for these back harpy camp invades without the proper vision. But in that case, he wasn't even close there. He was barely going into that mid-right Harpy side.
If you actually look at where the wards are placed by SK Gaming on the right-hand side, they've got one at the Pyromancer, one deep between the back Harpies and the blue buff, and then one at those right-hand Harpies as well, just to make sure they got full vision of any rotation.
Look at those wards placed on the left side of your screen. Xaliea at the very bottom with only one, whereas everyone else sitting very pretty. Even 6 wards by Ducky, and he doesn't have Chalice of the Orc.
Well, I mean, Xaliea doesn't need wards, really. He is playing Chulainn, probably arguably one of the easiest ones to survive a gank.
You're right. He's using CaptainTwig as his ward instead.
That's... wow. Well, I wasn't going to say that. That was a bit savage. That's supposed to be me.
You're right. You know what? It's just it's gotten so savage. Like your savageness has gotten so much that
That's
it just
me.
irradiates from you and it like spreads like an infection.
Like a disease.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that's
now
me.
I caught some of it. I'm
Good.
even wearing like the same color suit as you.
If I can infect you all, that'll be the best thing in the world for Smite commentary. There we go. 17.5 minutes in, 5-1. No Goal Fury attempts just yet. Outside of the one that went down a little bit earlier on from SK Gaming. And SK have kind of been looking to focus Erlang Shen consistently. And now they're kind of at a spot in the game of what do we do next? Well, it looks like me mentioning the goal. It might have been the go time for them, Tolly.
They got it at 9 minutes into the game, and they kind of waited a little bit here before wanting to go for it yet again. 4 minutes after the respawn, they wanted to pick and choose their battles. At this point, it's a little difficult to find these picks. iRaffer's at a high enough level that his shield's maxed out, starting to get some of these auras between the Heartward Amulet, the Gauntlet of Thieves that's fully stacked. Very surprised to see iRaffer actually finish this item right away, because he's one of these guys that will get it 4th or 5th item in the previous sets.
Well, Oracle's about to spawn, and one thing to note as well is the build choice in the solo lane is we didn't get 2 Midgardian males, Tolly. Mystical male for Xaliea this time around, not going for the slows.
Okay, so more damage over time, really synergizes well with his Vent Anger whenever he does dive the backlines. There's going to be a lot of DPS.
Talk about down the back line. Ducky was trying to rotate around the back and ain't more than he bargained for there. WhoDaBest did dash in, eats a couple of pokes from Prime, and there's iRaffer with the Blink Cataclysm, looking for the big ultimate, and does connect, but it's not a lot of damage from Prime, and it's Twig who's in trouble again.
Ducky gets stunned out. Here comes Lawbster going through the portals. The rest of his team's going through the portals as well.
Twig.
They're trying to find the turtle,
Catch
but
the
he's
turtle.
too fast. Ducky with the stun, but he needs to
Good
disengage.
stun. The tower comes into play. Thorns helps out a little bit. Xaliea looking to give chase to Lawbster. Round the corner is iRaffer hiding, looking for shields, and he'll get a nice knock up on Faeles, who double dashes away. And that's all there is. A lot of investment on the turtle, but SK may go again.
They're trying to go for it, but Ducky spawning out the charge on the left. Meanwhile, on the jungle side, I think iRaffer could get caught out. He's slow. He's rolling out. He will become immune. Actually, will cancel it out. The healing from SK Gaming. Respectable enough self-sustain to stay relevant.
I know SK Gaming could be a bit of trouble here. They're going to attempt the Gold Fury, though, but CaptainTwig is back and at full health once more with a speed buff around his waist. Ataraxia misses the axe, but he does hit the rain of arrows as WhoDaBest dashes in onto Prime. Eats way more than he bargained for. WhoDaBest is in a lot of trouble, but will get away thanks to the nice little ult from Funballer. Now Xaliea and Ataraxia are on the run back. This is a never-ending team fight.
That's true. No one's actually killing each other. You mentioned how CaptainTwig had enough time to back to base and rotate with the full health. iRaffer has to be an unfortunate spectator. He doesn't even have Blink, let alone being put in combat by Ducky. Second Goal Fury at the 20-minute mark for SK Gaming.
Was very messy from SK Gaming, Tolly, but at the end of the day, they got what they really wanted there. The kills were supposed to lead to a Gold Fury, and that's exactly what happened, even though they didn't find the kills in the first place.
So far, so good. That's 2 Gold Furies in 20 minutes worth of action, building off of about a 3,000 gold lead going towards the Pyro.
Funballer, Cataclysm not going to connect though because of the beads that came into play. Nice use from Funballer, but Ducky on the front line going to have to use his ult. A little bit worried. Lawbster's a little bit more worried as Ataraxia does find the kill onto him. Faeles though, looking to punish Ullr for being so far forward, but he's going to get away from Twig, who's still giving chase.
Didn't have time to use that ultimate. He used the Aegis, but to no avail. First pick for Obey Alliance in this little skirmish, positioning themselves right around the Pyromancer. I think WhoDaBest got spotted out.
He's still got his ultimate,
Xaliea
though.
is going to collapse on him.
Does have his ultimate, and that's the one thing they've got to be careful of here, or maybe WhoDaBest just limps back to safety in mid. So Pyromancer goes to Obey Alliance here to answer back the Gold Fury. It's not that useful. It's not as big as a pole demon this year, Tolly. It's just a little bit of, you know, shared XP.
SK didn't want to defend that simply because if they lose any additional members, now you're opening the door for Obey to go for a tier 2 tower, maybe go for a fire giant, and that's not something you really want to do when you're the ones with the lead. Make sure you have the chokehold and you don't relinquish it.
And the chokehold in this game so far has really come from Ducky and Faeles. 2-0-1, 3-0-1, which has got them 1,700 gold lead. I still class that as a decent lead, like not really a loss to Pyromancer because they got the goal before that, you know? Gold definitely better than Pyro.
I would agree with you there. Also, it's good to clear the left side of the map. Now the rest of your team can make options around the middle and the solo lane side. Not enough love on that side of the game. However, Sol and Amaterasu on the left side could get this tier 1 tower if left unchecked by Obey.
Totally, the rise of Winged Blade is back. It's been a while since I've seen multiple Winged Blades, but it's starting to rise again. We've seen some Magi's Cloak coming into play, but now again it's Winged Blades. One for Erlang Shen, one for Ataraxia.
That's the defensive mechanism you have to do to get away from the Nemesis. If you don't have Habwa's Water Carpet, then the next best thing is either the Threshold, Janus Ultimate, or Winged Blades.
I mean, you've got to think about that. You've got Janus Threshold that's going to cause problems, Stellar Burst from a Sol, and then Ducky will be able to just spin on the spot and cause it with a Master's Will. So, a lot of slows in this game. Obey recognizing that, going to try and adapt. How do you feel about CaptainTwig's build then? Because you were expecting not the Crusher. He's gone that route.
Yeah, so Crusher on CaptainTwig, it does have attack speed, but honestly, your ability, like you're popping your steroid. I don't think the steroid procs the Crusher. If it did, then that's a lot of damage coming at you really fast.
If it did, it'd be one tick.
Yeah.
If it does.
So either way, though, in the left side, though, Funballer left in a 1v2.
Disapparate! He's going to come through! He will sustain just in time. Bancroft's talent came in to help him out there as well. Don't forget that you do get lifesteal off that Bancroft's, and when people walk along that snail trail you leave behind, it burns. It hurts.
True. That's very, very true. And looking at the build from Funballer with the Warlock staff, honestly, it would have been better for maybe a chin size for CaptainTwig. Or if he goes for Executioner in place of Crusher / chin size, then now Ataraxia is hitting that same target a lot harder.
The one thing they're going to be careful of now is Lawbster, who's got his Warlock Sash and Book of Thoth pretty much stacked up to full, and a Soul Gem. So next up on the list is either Soul Reaver probably or Chronos Pendant, whichever you prefer.
It's definitely true for both cases. I think that the Soul Reaver would be the better option here, looking at the 4th item slot. Has a little bit of pen with those boots and the Divine Ruin on the side of PrettyPriMe. So far, it hasn't been the loudest game from Obey's mid laner. He's been just quietly waiting for opportunities, but with the aggressiveness from CaptainTwig, that's resulted in PrettyPriMe overstepping his boundaries.
See what's next for these two teams, because Gold Fury's still down for a few minutes, but we just saw some pings around the Gold Fury. It's 40 seconds away from spawning, and I think SK Gaming will want to try and capitalize on yet another one if they can, just to continue to get steps in this game in the right direction.
35 seconds about remaining until it respawns. Getting themselves both Gold Furies is a lot of progress, I would say, for SK Gaming in terms of the SPL Season 5. They haven't won a set quite yet. They're trying to figure out a way. Losing that first week to Mousesports definitely probably took its toll on them, but looking pretty solid here against Obey Alliance. And something I've noticed in European SPL action is it's gotten backwards in time. It's almost like a time machine where a lot of these teams are going back to like Season 2 style, where it's like kind of a farming game. They don't want to necessarily fight too much at the beginning.
And I think that's some of that is down to the meta and the map being bigger and the fact that people say Snowball's harder to come by. You know what I mean? Like, there's always a way to farm back into it by just playing the map safely and farm it up, don't give up too much. I think that's one of the reasons, Tully. And EU were always the ones that would rather farm than fight. I mean, they were in Season 1, 2, and it looks like we're going... That's why we see a difference, I guess, in North America and EU this year.
It definitely feels that way, honestly. If you even look at the results of Worlds, Season 2 and 3 was definitely the farm-centric meta. Europeans vastly superior in that regard. Season 1 and 4, I would say, is definitely more of a fighting kind of style, and that's where North America shined.
Well, Season 5 is all big and all new. Still a lot of things that teams won't be able to... Like, they won't figure out the map just yet, Tully. They won't figure out all the picks just yet. It's still going to take work. It's the opening couple of weeks of the SPL, and it's going to take a long time before people go, you know what? That choke point is the most OP choke point in the game.
There's definitely quite a few of them out there, depending on what god you play. We haven't really seen too much Cuckoo Claw and Hold That Thought, though, because it's Ataraxia that needs to disengage this time. Funballer was the one surviving last time.
I like the call from Faeles just to try and run away from this, but space and time was used by Lawbster, aggressively looking for a cheeky kill. Twig, though, and Faeles will both get away to the respective half of the map, though. No further follow-up from either. But the focus on to Ataraxia was solid from Faeles, but he didn't get a single relic because of that wing blade.
That's right. He's able to just move so much faster, let alone the steroid that he can pop during the axe dance, getting himself additional movement speed. It's going to match the pace that SK Gaming has.
Blink cackles him on two. Beautiful play from iRaffer, followed by a knockup that was perfectly timed as well. PrettyPriMe got a nice lot of damage off with his wall, but it wasn't enough to bring down a target yet. Obey, however, feel this is a right time to go for the gold.
They didn't get either of the previous two that get secured. Resetting the goal here. They want to fight. Ducky is so low, dashing in his PrettyPriMe off the mark with a stun, but Ataraxia
knocked
fails.
off. Beautiful turtle form from Twig. Sets him up and Prime over the wall. You said he wasn't involved. Well, he is now.
He's hitting the shots that he needs. Ducky's clone gets taken away. It's a 5-on-3. The Skull Fury is wide open for the pickings for Obey Alliance.
And look at the zone work by Xaliea and Obey. Just run them all the way back to the towers like, no, this is our area now. We will get this Gold Fury. Raph is so confident in it, he's going to just roll to mid lane to pick up some farm for himself. Obey back in the game and take the gold lead for the first time.
It's a very important team fight to win. The stage of the game where the respawn timers are just getting longer and longer.
Stood over the wall was gorgeous.
The
Knock-up
knock-up
was even better. And that is a free support. Welcome to the SPL, WhoDaBest.
Trying to defend his tier 1 tower. In Season 5, it's also important to give up these towers because, yet again, the objectives after dying is becoming more and more important. SK Gaming don't realize this. They lose 3, they lose the Gold Fury, and now they lose the tier 1 mid and the Pyromancer.
A big swing after SK's great start to this game, getting 2 kills on Ducky, followed by 3 onto Faeles. It started to dwindle down now, where SK couldn't really choose what they wanted to do at the right time. And to be fair, it was kind of set up by that iRaffer blink cataclysm around those oracles.
Oh yeah, something that he really likes to do, which is why he's playing these warriors every now and then, but you can still be aggressive with the get blink initiation. That definitely opened the door for Obey Alliance. And now, when they were behind 3,000 gold, up 3,000 gold, a nice little 6,000 gold swing.
And look at the builds. You can see that everyone's pretty much reaching max potential already at 28 minutes in. 6 items are all in the inventories of pretty much everyone outside of a couple of members of SK Gaming. And that's mainly down to the cost of the builds they've gone for.
That's true.
It's a little bit more expensive.
That's true. Trying to position themselves for the best power curve in the late game. Ducky going to get bullied out. Still has his ultimate. Neither Chulainn or... I'm sorry, actually, Xaliea does have teleport, so if Xaliea gets poked out, he'll be back into it, but Ducky cannot afford to take that poke.
I will say, though, totally, that Obey's CC chains have got a lot better. Their CC chains are very, very strong right now. They seem to be, like, timing their CCs perfectly, knock up into stun, into knock up, into... and really keeping the pressure onto SK, which is keeping him on the back foot here, allowing Obey to look for maybe a siege on this tier 2 tower.
Ducky putting himself out of position, not able to get stunned out by PrettyPriMe. Miss would have definitely led to a kill had he connected that with the rest of the follow-up CC that you were mentioning, but because Ducky did get poked out in 2 different encounters, needs to back, doesn't have teleport, so that tier 2 tower is going to fall.
So, more gold into the coffers of Obey now, just extending the lead a little bit more so and swinging this game completely around. But Raffer's got caught in an awkward spot. His Windblade will help him out a little bit, but not enough so far. Big shield and Xaliea comes in to save the day. Raffer's El Tanky is a big ultimate hit from PrettyPriMe, but only onto Ducky on the front line as Faeles went to Prime at the back. PrettyPrime's going to go down. Raffer's going to have to roll away, and now Twig's on the run too. Now, will Twig fall down? That's the real question. No, gets away with the blink.
Xaliea was in the backline for too long, not helping out his mid laner whatsoever. Despite taking that much damage from iRaffer and all those abilities, it was PrettyPriMe that fell instead.
Oh, Prime. That's two times this game so far where Prime's gone to help a teammate who's out of position. Let's be honest, iRaffer was way too far forward in his own, and then the other one was CaptainTwig. So...
That's just PrettyPrime's thing, you know. He's the one to take the bullet.
It seems to be the case now.
That's how people recognize and know him.
But Fire Giant started by SK Gaming when everyone's still around at decent health for Obey Alliance. Only no ultimates available for Obey, neither for SK Gaming. They want to potentially continue taking this fight. Nice axe on WhoDaBest. who eats a bit of poke, but he should be able to sustain that back up with his team. SK fall back around the Fire Giant. It won't be an attempt this time round.
A good amount of self-sustain for SK, specifically from WhoDaBest's Amaterasu stance switching, being able to also use it as Funballer, dropping that heat, building up that passive meter. Going for a very lifesteal-centric build as Funballer. Bancroft's Talon and the Typhon's Fang. A lot of players have been experimenting with a lifesteal build, the magical damage build, or even just a basic attack damage build between the Demonic Grip, Telekind's Ring, and that Hastened Ring.
Because the Ataraxia's been given a speed buff there, and he's also got a power potion in his inventory as well. That shows the state of the game already. He'll be swinging a little bit harder, and that's pretty much where... I guess that just means he's happy with his build right now, totally. He's going to be sticking with his build for the majority of the game.
Sitting at 227 basic attack damage. He should be putting himself in a really great spot here. Not even picking up the red there. Just going to let it kind of hang out on the floor.
Just making sure he steals the experience, I guess, more than anything. I mean, he can't pick it, but he's got speed.
Yeah, that's right. He has speed.
So they're grouping up with a tier 2 in mid now. Funballer with a nice bit of poke from that Stellar Burst. The mobility from Ataraxia is insane. He's going to walk into Ducky, and 152 on a tank isn't bad in terms of autos there, I'll tell you that much. But he should be looking towards the tier 2 in mid as Obey was sieging it down, SK. Slowly having it chipped away.
There's still plenty of time to go for this tier 2 tower. Not much has changed. Gold Fury just now respawning. Ducky trying to find the sentry ward right to the side here, but they're getting read like a book. SK Gaming cannot look for the flank here.
Nice shield onto Xaliea, knock up 2 from Raffer. Space inside from Lawbster, cuts the difference, and Ataraxia ate way more than he bargained for. He jumped into the stun, couldn't get away from it as WhoDaBest secures his first kill at the SPL. PrettyPriMe now forced out on the backside as CaptainTwig was surrounded by both Ducky and Funballer. Prime needs some support from Raffer, and that's why Raffer's just standing right next to him. Prime actually thought that little cheeky monkey was real, and it wasn't. It's Xaliea who's under pressure now. Gets the shield.
He was zoning for so long. They split like the Red Sea. Lawbster was the focus fire from Xaliea that whole encounter. That's why he was kind of trailing at the back end of it. But you're just not going to catch a Janus. I want to see Xaliea protect his backline a little bit more. Ataraxia. Now, you're not going to protect your backline away from an Amaterasu ultimate that's already so fast and a Janus ult that hits you. So there needs to be better positional awareness from Ataraxia.
Bit of miscommunication in the comms there from SK. One started the Pyromancer, another one started the Fire Giant. They're on the Fire Giant right now, but around the back comes Xaliea with the teleport looking towards Funballer. A great stuff from Ducky though to cancel that one out. Lawbster gets knocked up but does get through his portal to safety. SK Gaming can't continue with the Fire Giant because of Xalia's pressure on his own.
Doing a good job buying a lot of time for his teammates to respawn. CaptainTwig is now back and available. All 5 Obey Alliance members can still rotate on here and stop SK Gaming in their tracks.
And now the Pyromancer attempted by SK instead. Funballer will be able to sustain up. He does have Typhon's Fang and the Bancroft's Talon here, so plenty of sustain, and Funballer is able to tank this up. Raffer just been delayed from getting in here. If he steals this one, it's one for the record books, but he won't this time round. Pyromancer to SK. It's been a topsy-turvy game so far.
Definitely has. You could see it in the graphs here as SK Gaming were the first ones to really strike that first blood, being able to build themselves a lead off of the 9-minute and the 20-minute Gold Fury. But then once Obey Alliance started to group up a little bit more, they had really one good team fight around that 27-minute mark where they got the Gold Fury, finding those initial picks, and most importantly, it was PrettyPriMe that was leading the victory for Obey.
Well, the scary thing is the longer this game goes, the longer the respawn timers get, Tolly. And about 40 minutes, you're looking at 65 seconds plus. It'll keep going from there. So at the moment, you've got to be careful. If you do die, you can really spin a game on its head. SK Gaming have lost most of their towers, remember. And Obey have a couple of tier 2 still standing. Ducky eats a lot more damage than he bargained for there.
Oh, through space and time!
Hits from Twig and the whole team barrel on through. Looking for Ataraxia, who's going to leap away, but Funballer is still giving chase.
The Supernova coming out. PrettyPriMe is the focus point. The ultimate from WhoDaBest getting his second kill in the SPL. Welcome, good sir. Portal will be negated by the beads. Still trying to run away is Obey Alliance, and SK Gaming, they find the first pick. They find a lot of people low, and they're going to go for this late game Fire Giant.
Lawbster has no kills, but Lawbster is making big waves in this game for SK Gaming. These through space and times totally have hit primary targets every single time in these engagements and allowed SK Gaming to get themselves the Fire Giant now, which means they can answer up some of these towers they've just lost and maybe even look for a Phoenix or 2.
I see what you did there, hitting primary targets.
Why does everyone keep thinking I'm punning when I'm not? Everyone keeps doing that. Your cast with aggro way too much these days.
It really has been different when you're not here.
Is that what it is? Okay. I don't try and do puns. Puns are for weak-minded individuals. That's what it is.
Wow.
They're not witty enough to come up with things. That's what it is.
Wow.
It's true. That's why
You're a big fan of those dad puns. Didn't you show us that video between Will Ferrell and what was that F-Dot?
That was F-Dot.
The dad joke puns?
That definitely wasn't me. Definitely wasn't me.
Wow.
I
Savage
hate
Hindu.
puns. I hate puns.
How do you hate puns?
It's the lowest form of wit, in my opinion. I don't think they're witty. It's easy. I only like puns when I do them intentionally. And then I go, see what I did there? Yeah.
You can't make your own pun, though. You can't call out your own pun.
Yeah, I can. Gold Fury goes down for SK Gaming. They're going to group up on the left-hand side now. Why can you not call out your own pun?
Because that's why we have co-casters, so that we can call out the...
Oh.
You know?
No. That's why I don't do that. That's why I say it. I'm like, I did a pun. Keep an eye on Lawbster. He's got the Janus. And with this Janus this time around, space and time will get fired. But Ducky's going to use those portals and eat some free poke. What was that call? I don't know. But Ducky ate way more than he bargained for. Faeles is round the side. Has that blink available if he needs it. And all they're really looking to do is strip down these towers. Pings on their tier 2 in mid. And that's where SK are going to go.
It's all about making it easier for that one last final push. Weakening the Titan ever so slightly. 2 tier 2 towers stand for Obey Alliance. Only 1 on the side of SK Gaming. But Fire Giant's still around SK for 2 more minutes.
Watch out for
and
Lawbster.
a soul, more importantly, for Funballer.
Watch out
These
for
towers
Lawbster.
can
Watch out.
easily...
He's an axe in the back of his head. Lobster, what are you doing? He was trying to sneak round the corner, but they caught the bait. Lobster's dead, and SK are now on the run as they were too busy trying to do the tier 2 tower. Lobster just went too deep.
Faeles trying to run away from CaptainTwig. Axe off the mark. The blink. The Cataclysm. The knockup on WhoDaBest. But that's a tanky Amaterasu.
Oh, but he's getting CC to high heaven still, and still he will fall. Funballer uses the ult to try and dissuade them from aggressing some more. Fire Giant still on all the members of SK. Round the back comes Faeles. They're looking at Ataraxia. Ataraxia needs help and gets him from the shield from iRaffer. Funballer dancing around and death inside his slippery snail trail and does manage to survive, but Faeles picks up 2. Twig gets 2, and it's Ducky and Funballer versus Prime. Prime dash forward, but Prime bit off more than he can do, I think. Twig's going to go in. Funballer should die here.
He's going for the knockup. Will not connect, but 2 basic attacks is all that is needed.
That could be
Starting
game.
out Ducky. That's a deicide. It's Xaliea, CaptainTwig,
end, right?
and PrettyPriMe. I don't know if they can necessarily end off of this.
Sure, they got the 3 targets.
Where's the minion wave? Okay.
Oh, wait, Lobster's coming. Lobster's
They need the minion wave. Yeah, Lawbster died way early in that engagement here. If they go for the end, that would be a bold move.
Well, they'll get the Phoenix at least. Positioning-wise, doesn't look like they're going to go for the end. It's going to fall back. Not too surprised by that. Got to respect Lobster. Does have his through space and time and a hell of a lot of damage to kill a target
He
here.
can even kill PrettyPriMe if he connects.
I think Lobster might give chase to this one as well. If he saw Twig there, he might want to continue. But nope, we'll play it safe. He doesn't want to make a mistake of going too deep this time round. Like what happened at the tier 2. That's what went wrong there, Tolly. Everything went well, and Lobster just got picked on the left.
That's true. The ward vision control. I believe there was a ward there that did fizzle away just recently, but even though that happened, SK Gaming still has all the vision. So you can't even fault Lawbster for taking that route. He had all the vision on his side.
Yeah, I'm not upset by the route at all. I like his idea. It's just that his team were in a position and he didn't know if anyone was waiting around the corner, which they were.
Yes, the only difference I would love to see is those bottom wards between the dual lane and the mid lane, in between that little tier 2 intersection. You want to put a sentry ward there. There was a regular ward from SK Gaming that just fizzled away. That needs to be a sentry ward, because once you're that deep in the heart of the enemy jungle, you want to make sure that the opponent doesn't see you as well.
Well, gold and experience really do not matter anymore. The only thing gold will matter for is more power potions and more wards. Experience, everyone's level 20, so that's not going to make a difference whatsoever. It's all about playing the map now, Tolly, at this stage, with 10 kills to 11. Obey you in the lead. And the reason they're in the lead is because that middle Phoenix has already fallen.
That's true. Titan is exposed, so if there's another deicide from Obey Alliance onto SK Gaming, that should definitely be the last nail in the coffin. Even without a tier 2 tower on the left or a Phoenix, they have the late game damage prowess that they need to end.
Talking about nearly finished builds, I think we've got 1 relic requires an upgrade right now, which is Faeles' beats. And then everyone will be at full relic upgrades too, which means we can talk about the shell, the thorns, totally, all those things come into play.
Definitely a big case here, especially against some of these basic attackers. Absorbing those 2 basic attacks, it's not a bad idea for some of these upgraded shells to be able to separate themselves.
Obey's focus target is definitely going to be Janus. Janus has been the backbone of SK's rise in this game, but also the mistakes in this game. When Janus has fallen, SK have gone to tatters immediately.
I mean, that could be said about almost any mid-mage, honestly. Like, if your mid-mage falls, the rest of your team will fall. Same thing has been said for Obey Alliance. PrettyPriMe has been a lot of a focus fire from SK Gaming, having 4 deaths this game, the highest of his team, even though 2 of those was definitely not his fault.
Well, CaptainTwig's going to go mid and try and chase down Lawbster and WhoDaBest. Fire Giant started up, Faeles and Ducky on the way in to give some vision for Lawbster if he needs it. Xaliea takes a bit of poke, but at the end of the day, he's still a Chulainn who's fine. Prime and Ataraxia looking to force back Ducky. Fire Giant, reset.
I like the fact that Xaliea is looking to zone this deep. With the teleport available, he can get back into the thick of things. SK Gaming, they just want Obey Alliance to pull this Fire Giant so they can go through space and time.
And try and find the kill for it. Over the wall goes Raffer with a blink onto Lawbster, knocking him up, but no panic out of Lawbster. Instead, Raffer eats more than he bargained for. On the right-hand side, Twig is trading off with Faeles, and Twig is losing that trade at the moment, but Faeles is surrounded by multiple more members. Xaliea takes a lot more brunt of damage in space and time to connect with the back of his head, but everyone is still alive on both teams.
Now transforming, gaining the shield, gaining the movement speed, he's able to disengage. Afraid of the final judgment is SK Gaming. They're going to back on out of there, just rely on their mobility to reposition themselves. Still need to be worried about these 2 fire minion waves because Mid-Phoenix is respawning. Lawbster has to deal with that while Xaliea teleports back into the action.
I'm talking about Lawbster in the mid lane a little bit more. He's not got a Chronos Pendant here. Not max more cooldown reduction that you like to see. Instead, went for some pen, went for his Soul Reaver. I'm not upset by this build, totally, but the cooldown really does help to get his ultimate more often.
I would definitely agree with you. It's a different style.
Yeah.
He wants the health from Warlock Staff. He wants the damage from Book of Thoth. One of those 2 items would definitely be the trade-off if you're going for the Chronos Pendant. Fire Giant, less than half health from Obey Alliance, but afraid of SK Gaming. They don't want to get it to that executable threshold yet.
Nice way from WhoDaBest, but now they're going to go for the burst all the way in. Ducky gets hit by a Cataclysm. Beautiful play from SK. Raffer with a Cataclysm. That was huge. But Twig got hit so hard. And the problem is WhoDaBest wasn't looking at him. He could have taken him down.
Right,
Twig will live. Now instead they're going to have to maybe just look for Xaliea.
Got to slow him out. Supernova, just for good measure, fails, taking out Xaliea. So without
Drop
the
kill.
Fire Giant for SK, they still try to force something there simply because Final Judgment was used by PrettyPriMe.
Yeah.
Without that big ability, it makes it that much more enticing for SK Gaming to chase him out.
It's all a huge drop kill there by WhoDaBest. That I think that could have been a big game turner because this should have been an easier Phoenix with only 3 members of Obey alive, but now there's 4. And Thoth is still on defense, one of the best artillery range.
That's right. Wave has just been done like that. All 3 hieroglyphic assaults from a very safe distance. Somebody from SK Gaming is going to need to dive that backline, but Blink is not available for Faeles for another minute.
Well, Ducky is playing the monkey, and that monkey's not really scared of diving all the way in with his ultimate, which he does have available. Keep an eye on Lawbster, though. That space and time will be looking once again for PrettyPriMe. It's Battle of the Mages, this.
It definitely has been. PrettyPriMe has been successful at times, as Lawbster. Diving in is WhoDaBest, dashing in the ultimate onto PrettyPriMe. They want to make sure that he's not going to judge anybody.
Space and time off the mark. Ataraxia trading out with Lawbster. Lawbster eats a lot more than he bargained for. Big ult from Prime, but didn't do enough to bring a target down. It will force SK back, however, with the tail between their legs.
It almost hit Funballer. I think that it was just a max distance ability. Definitely could smell some of that smoke from the heated gun at the very end of it. Raffer's going to roll out. He sees that SK Gaming are very low, but the disengage is a little too fast for Obey Alliance to really chase this one out. 45 minutes into the game, 10-12. Neither team could really make any progress.
We just noticed that both teams ignored the Gold Fury there. Like, no one cared about the Gold Fury. It's not that important at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, you could get a little bit closer to a 3K potion if you really need to.
They prioritize the oracles over the gold. Why?
Sure.
For vision.
Vision is important at this stage of the game. You see someone rotating, you can adapt to that rotation.
It's been a while since I've seen teams that in the late game don't care about gold still, ever. Like, it's been a long time since I've seen that. 45 minutes in?
That's their filler objective, where there's like literally nothing to do. You just go for the gold. 45 minutes in, though, almost 46. Obey Alliance looking to strip the last remaining tower of the game.
And they're going to do just that. No one from SK going to really invest into this. The middle Phoenix is weakened down, remember, for SK Gaming. Obey may turn their attention there, but instead they're going to stay grouped on this left-hand side. Keep an eye on Raph with the blink. Cataclysms looking to make plays every single time, and where Lawbster is with the rotation through the space and time. Twig going to rotate towards mid and farm up that wave to keep a bit more pressure there and try and split SK away from all grouping as a 5-man.
It's a 4-1 split between the duo and the mid. We've seen a lot of teams try to do this in the collapse, and it's an important idea to do so whenever you have a jungler with blink. PrettyPriMe dashing in, stuns Ducky.
And Ducky in a bit of trouble there, has to ult defensively. WhoDaBest did dash just to force back Ataraxia for a moment, but Obey are quite happy to continue the siege.
Still going for a little bit more action. Ducky needs to heal, so it's a 5-on-4 for a little bit. CaptainTwig wants to go in here. Lawbster
missed his ult as well.
No, his ultimate's still used. That was just a normal portal.
Funballer takes a bit of poke from Xaliea, but Xaliea eats more than he bargained for. He was tanking the tower up. Big space and time came through from Lawbster, and he gets the unstable vortex and Ataraxia and the portal for Xaliea. And now it's Obey on the run. Will SK continue to chase? They should, in my opinion, but they're not going to. They're going to play it safe.
They definitely could have if they wanted to. They have Threshold. They have the Amaterasu passive. The ultimate from Xaliea was available, but without the other ultimates from Obey Alliance, SK Gaming just going to let that one go, feeling confident that they could just group up as 5, abuse Ataraxia's respawn timer for 50 seconds. They have plenty of time to go for this 5-on-4 Phoenix.
Well, I mean, the Fire Giant's going to respawn
the same
before
time.
We can see Ataraxia get over there, basically. But yeah, about the same time.
It's going to be about the same time. So Ataraxia, it should be a 5-on-5. Could be a safer play to maybe go for Fire Giant, or at least set up enough wards around Fire Giant to look for an ambush.
Very true indeed. At the moment, that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to hang in the jungle a little bit here, strip away any sort of camps possible. Ward wars will continue as Twig walks in, finds WhoDaBest, and not sure we got the Magi's off that time. No, not to be.
So about 2 minutes ago, it was Obey Alliance stripping the last Tier 2 tower from SK. This time, 2 minutes later, SK will return the favor in the solo lane. Both Titans are going to be very vulnerable without any towers remaining.
Okay, Tolly, we've got all the towers down. There's only Phoenixes standing. Pyromancer is important because it does give you mobility. And as that lands, the Fire Giant spawns. Can't have everyone in SK go back to base, though. They've got to be careful about this. If they do that, Obey will get a clear sign to just invest in the Fire Giant attempt.
That's very, very true. Going for a more defensive style is Ataraxia. He sold his Winged Blade to pick up this Bulwark of Hope, getting an extra health bubble just to keep himself alive. This damage from Lawbster is just too much.
It's the mages. That's the key. The mages do swing very hard this year, and everyone's going to be very careful about that. As the wards get cleared by SK, they get control of the pit. Lawbster going to push up the right-hand side a little bit at the moment. And Prime just continues these artillery blasts that put him 7k in the lead in terms of play damage over anybody else.
SK Gaming positioning themselves aggressively. The right side is Lawbster behind Fire Giant. A great angle to use to go through space and time as iRaffer knocks up 2. Ducky's getting slowly poked out, and that's the one strategy that Obey could abuse, that Ducky does not have teleport.
This is the whole game, though. Where is Prime and where is Lawbster? That's what both these two teams are playing. They're both hunting to find the mage counterparts because they're the ones that are really causing them both problems with the soul gems, with the soul reavers. They're really swinging to high heaven. Both teams just going to back. Play safe.
Not really wanting to overstep anything, but SK Gaming, look what they're doing here. They have the vision necessary. They're positioning themselves right behind Fire Giant. WhoDaBest leading the charge to the left, while the rest of the team is setting an ambush right behind Fire Giant on the right.
This is a stage of a game, totally, where everybody's just on edge because you don't get to go this late this often.
That's true.
It's hard to practice scrims in this situation of getting full build late game with the situation being exactly as it is. And the worst thing about it, Tolly, is one mistake.
It's all over.
Mistake, and you will lose this game.
That's why it's so important to play defensively sometimes, because people can make mistakes and you can definitely make a comeback here. Ducky, though, with WhoDaBest, forcing CaptainTwig to disengage for the moment. Flirted with the idea of Fire Giant. but not going to go for it.
That was a Twig iRaffer sort of bait situation where they wanted to try and see if they could get any ultimates out from SK Gaming. Maybe force Lawbsters through space and time or Faeles his ult instead. This time what happens? Stun over the wall from Prime hits Ducky, but round the back comes Faeles. PrettyPriMe under a lot of pressure, has to beat Ages to get away. iRaffer trying to keep him alive as long as possible, but Prime knocked in the sky and bursted down by Lawbster. Space and time already fired in this fight, and the portals could get people out of danger. Ducky's in a pretty healthy position. Xaliea on the other hand not, as Faeles blinks in looking for the kill. Ataraxia on the run, gets a good axe off, but still they're running down the carry. Faeles with one dash and a second dash, and Ducky hits with a tiger stance followed by the Master's Will. 2 kills to SK Gaming.
It was just one dash from PrettyPriMe that led that chain of events. You talk about mistakes. That wasn't even really that big of a mistake from PrettyPriMe at all. His whole team was around him, but Faeles just literally walked through everybody to get to PrettyPriMe.
Fire Giant started by 3 members and 2 members on defense. Love the call from SK there, Tolly. Make sure they don't go and get a cheeky Phoenix in the mid lane when you're busy taking this Fire Giant.
They're able to split their forces perfectly. They're not going to be able to clear out that one middle lane, however. Still pinging the right side of the map because the right side has the most minions, or the minions closest to that Phoenix. Respawning in 15 is PrettyPriMe. 30 for Ataraxia. These former Titan boys won't be here for the defense.
Well, some of these boys have been around the block a few times on defense and withstood their own, but that route did not do much work to the front line of SK Gaming. Happy to just tank this one up in turn. Ducky gonna aggro it, make sure the Phoenix falls on the right, and now it's SK in a power position. They're going for an end.
Can they even get it though? Ataraxia is coming up in 10 seconds.
Blink,
it's a 5-on-4.
hits Lawbster, pin on Lawbster too. Lawbster invested in, and Lawbster has been taken down. Now with a 4-on-5 scenario, because Ataraxia's back alive. SK Gaming have got to run, and SK Gaming may have just made another mistake.
They don't have through space and time to be able to disengage. They do have the aura from WhoDaBest, but man, there's a lot of abilities coming SK's way. Obey Alliance, they're still on the chase. Ducky might have just sacrificed himself for the rest of his team to get out.
Good work from Ducky. Great stun from Prime. Master's Will. He's tanky enough, but keep getting knocked up like that, there's nothing you can do. He did get the rest of his team out of danger, Tolly. 53 minutes in. 12 to 15.
Better Ducky than the rest of his team as well. Lawbster dying that early in the engagement. They dove him really deep there. I think committing to the Titan room was a little too bold. It was a 5-on-4. Fire Giant was available for SK, but I mean, it was the damage dealers that were up. One stun from PrettyPriMe, and you're at like 50% health.
Credit where it's due, though. IRaffer's Blink Cataclysm straight onto Lawbster was what set most of that up for the all-in. The rest of the team just piled in on top. iRaffer's presence of mind to recognize Lawbster was close enough to get in range of. Very important. Everyone underestimates the damage of a Cataclysm at level 20.
In the backline, WhoDaBest stunning out PrettyPriMe and Ataraxia. The Cataclysm coming out just to contain Amaterasu for the moment. Great silence disrupting the final judgment from PrettyPriMe.
This middle Phoenix is still standing. The Lawbster's back now. The portal hits. But it's not going to be enough to bring them down. SK hold their base, and now Obey have to make sure they defend because there's fire minions on the right-hand side.
That's right. Obey need to back on out of there. They couldn't make anything successful happening, and this is going to be a long one, Hindu. It's 55 minutes in, and neither team can really find the Titan yet.
I mean, I don't think we're going to approach the most longest games ever.
What was the longest SPL game?
No, it's over 60. It's over 60.
Wasn't it a game that Allied was casting?
I think it was
with
Allied.
Enemy?
I think it was Allied. I was actually trying to work that out recently.
It was Enemy and Allied, but I can't remember who they were against.
Oh, good question. Who were they against?
Somebody I'm sure will tweet at us.
Some of the enemies shouldn't have beaten is the answer, because they ended up winning that game, I think.
Was it Cloud9 then?
Might have been.
It was Season 3, beginning of Season 3. I want to say.
I want to say it was like 64?
It was like mid-60s. What was the longest console game?
No one cares.
Savage.
That's me.
That's your thing.
That's my thing. That's
how people know you.
But now, both teams are just going to wait for the Fire Giant, I think, Tolly. No one's really confident enough to try and take a fight under the enemy Phoenix when there's no Fire Giant until, or do they?
I mean, they're going to try.
Or do they?
They might look for something in between. This is the kind of like limbo mode where one sloppy rotation will get severely punished. And maybe not even so sloppy, just one misguided rotation. Positioning themselves between middle and the dual lane in the jungle is the correct idea when you have portals from Lawbster.
Well, WhoDaBest hasn't had the worst game in the world, I would say, on his debut as the Amaterasu support in this one. Couple of mistakes, but, you know, they're just bound to happen.
Sure. Slight mislap of judgment when he did drop that one kill. He
Yeah.
didn't switch fast enough to apply the slow and then the stun off of his ultimate. But either way, still a successful performance, I would say, especially in such a short notice.
What do you do in games like this, Tolly? Like, you've had a ranked game like this. I've had one too.
I play chess while this...
In the game?
Yes. At this point...
In the game?
Yep. I'll just split push and play chess at the same time.
Do see a pickup there of Soul Reaver on iRaffer. Not a real surprise, because iRaffer won't be scared of doing a little bit more damage, and that will swing to high heaven. If you blink Cataclysms,
That's true.
it's a lot of damage, that Toll.
That is very true, especially onto Lawbster that has a little bit of extra health from the Warlock staff. He could be easily dove by a lot of targets from Obey lines, especially the range from PrettyPriMe. He's been hitting shots pretty successfully.
Fire Giant respawns as the right-hand Phoenix has also come up for Obey Alliance, and CaptainTwig just trying to kill off the reminiscent of those minions.
Did you just see
Those
Raffer's health?
disappear?
That was one unstable vortex.
That's what Janus does in the late game.
That's what Scylla does in the lake, and that's not what Janus should be able to do.
Oh, he does. Space and Time fired off, but didn't really find the home they were after. Ataraxia forced down the left-hand side, but iRaffer was already low, and iRaffer is now dead, thanks to the ultimate out of Funballer. Prime was charging the ult, but changed his mind, and Xaliea gets back to safety. Through the portal comes WhoDaBest. And Prime from downtown deletes Faeles. 1-for-1. Jungler for support.
Great trade for Obey Alliance, but still SK Gaming are positioning themselves around the Fire Giant. Right side, minions are defended. There's no more fire minions to Obey Alliance have to defend.
I don't think, with those two people off the map, either team really wants to commit to a Fire Giant. Sure, the Pyromancer goes to SK. Faeles won't feel that Pyromancer, though, because he's going to be dead longer than that is up.
It would be better for SK to force a fight here than Obey, because without the Geb peeling and
You're
the
right.
shields, I definitely think SK has more kill opportunities.
But it's the cooldowns, totally. I think that's the biggest issue for them, is they need those ultimates up to really make an impact. I think if Lobster's ult was still up and
Yeah.
Funballer's ult, they could go. Funballer and Lobster in a great position to fight, technically, because of the relics are both available for both of them.
It's very true. Obey Alliance still positioning themselves rather carefully. It's only Xaliea
should be an FG
close
now.
to the FG.
They should be on FG now. They should have WhoDaBest and Ducky's Zone, while Lobster and Funballer just burst this down. Prime's on the left-hand side. They should be go time now. Zone them away, but instead, they're allowing Obey to creep in.
Xaliea could look for the setup with the knockup. PrettyPriMe is not close enough yet. Coming from the mid lane, Fire Giant less than 50% health. SK Gaming, they don't want to burst it down too low. Lobster's actually going to disengage from this.
Still aggroed his Fire Giant. Funballer still whittling it away as Ducky goes in on PrettyPriMe. Ducky uses the Thorns and his ultimate to disengage. Space and Time fired by Lobster. That portal allow WhoDaBest to slew round the back towards Ataraxia. The clone was causing some problems thanks to Ducky, but now Prime and Ataraxia are still trying to peel for each other. On the backside of the fight, the iRaffer is back in it, and Ducky is in a world of hurt, but Xaliea can't get in range to kill him. A wash of a fight. Nobody dies. Back for a reset and a recall to base.
Well, both iRaffer and Faeles has respawned, so it's going to be a 5-on-5 now, heading into the 1 hour mark of play. And this is only the first game here in the best of 3 between Obey Alliance and SK Gaming. Two teams that have been struggling against other opponents, and what happens when you put two teams struggling against each other? They just struggle.
Stay here forever.
They just struggle against each other even harder.
But they both want to throw. That's what it is. Hey guys, do you want to throw? Yeah, but we want to throw too. Okay, well, how about we throw in the early game and then you throw in the late game? Like, no, how about we both just keep throwing in the mid game? No, how about we just both throw around the Fire Giant?
How about we
sure.
go out to the backyard and throw a baseball?
I wish they'd just put, like, I don't know. I was going to say put the two supports in the solo lane, but I don't even know who'd win that with Geb and Amaterasu at full build.
What if they just had, like, Janus and Thoth basic attack each other to determine the winner?
Well, Twig on the front line, being aggressive against WhoDaBest. Axe hits onto Ducky, but Ducky's very, very tanky. I will tell you one funny story, though, Tolly, is that once upon a time there was a talk about maybe after a certain length of game, the Titans would walk down mid and fight each other to the death. to try and end a game.
I mean, what if this goes
I've heard
90,
that
90
story.
minutes?
Space
Oh.
and time, that might not make it go 90 minutes. Great play from Raphael to cancel that out. Mainly Xaliea as well with the knock-up that followed. Ataraxia is still on the run trying to get away, but WhoDaBest focuses on Prime. Prime gets a shield out from Raffer, and Raffer makes sure he gets back to the safety of his team. Twig, though, is isolated and left alone as Faeles still giving chase. The jukes were good, but Twig's, you're going the wrong way. Twig is going the wrong way on a merry adventure, going to be chased down by the whole of SK Gaming. The rest of Obey Alliance.
The blink is
No,
good,
no,
but
you're not
there's
escaping a Lawbster.
portals.
You're not escaping a
Lawbster is
Lawbster.
going to be able to chase
Go for the
him
Phoenix,
down.
Twig.
He needs to find a way
He's gonna
to
send
keep
Bobo.
buying time. He's
Oh, he
actually
did
going to
it!
go 180 back into Lawbster, respecting
Oh
that
my
there could be
God.
people backing from the base.
Oh, the
Captain
pit!
Twig is doing such a good job, but he can't ultimately escape.
The minions! It was the minions. It was the minions that did the work. Ducky, Master's Will. Good old Archers. Well played, Archers. Well played.
Minion 34, too strong.
So the call from SK now. Back, base, take the fight, right?
Oh, it has to
Have
be.
to.
5-on-4 fight. Captain Twig's dead for 75 seconds. 75 seconds he's up.
Well, Lobster's going to get his red buff real quick, which is fine. Speed buff also getting picked up, giving over to Faeles too. And WhoDaBest going to clear up some wards there. PrettyPrime will have his ultimate back and available by the time this Fire Giant is started. But there's going to be no contest from Obey. They're just going to play it safe.
Better
Sit
safe
under
than
their
sorry.
Phoenixes.
If they lose any additional members, that will definitely be the game. Obey Alliance will respect that. They had the Thoth on PrettyPrime. He is one of the best, probably second best next to Chulainn in terms of defending, and will definitely be able to probably hold even 4-on-5.
I don't know. I actually think Thoth might be better than Kukulkan.
You think so?
Yeah. I think Kukulkan kind of struggles
True,
with
it's more damage over
mobility.
time from Chulainn
Yeah.
as opposed to Thoth being all bursty.
and his mobility. I think the quick
Yeah.
dash from a Prime is a little bit better.
Man, these 2012 Smite gods just...
I know, they just ramp it up. Mid lane pressure from Lawbster, going to make sure Prime's in check, but 4 members of SK groups on the right-hand side. CaptainTwig down for another 10 seconds as Ducky now engages. Full focus, really invested onto Ataraxia, who gets some big shields. Space and time!
Okay!
Splits the difference and takes out Ataraxia. WhoDaBest gets PrettyPrime for his 3rd kill of the SPL, and the Phoenix should fall down soon. The minions are in play here. Ducky is tanking
Good
up, Phoenix
knockoff.
falls. But now it's CaptainTwig, Rapper, and Xaliea to try and defend.
Raffer had a clutch knock up there. Shell being popped by SK Gaming, able to hold the front line a little bit more. Another 5-man knock up coming
still
from
alive.
Raffer. Trying to find the Titan here, SK Gaming. They're going for the end here.
But the body
Hindu.
blocks could come in big. The portal got Lawbster killed. The Soul Reaver from Rapper is doing damage.
It's so low.
And Xaliea is beating him down. Twig's running around in circles. The blink from Faeles. The blink in response. The turtle form. The dog. The knock up. The sprint is. The dash is still there, but Twig gets the kill. Ducky's gonna run. WhoDaBest is gonna run. The Titan will stand. The Titan will stand.
It's at 50% health. This respawn from SK Gaming is going to be so important to find the end. They can all in this if they really want
Space
to.
and time.
It's not going to deal damage to it, but they
No,
can
sure.
position themselves to be able to get there. PrettyPrime respawning in 20 seconds. That's a 40-second difference between him and Faeles. With that 40 seconds, they don't have time to get any Phoenixes themselves.
Are you sure there's not time for a middle Phoenix there? I mean,
3 on 2?
Prime Ataraxia come up, just run straight down mid as a 5-man.
Well, as a 40, like right now, okay, there's 47 seconds on Faeles to come through.
Maybe not.
It'll be
Lawbster.
really close.
I mean, they could probably get it, but then Lobster's back up,
Yes,
right?
and then
space
here-
and
yeah.
time, and then we go again. Okay, well, maybe they're thinking about it too, because 2 members of Obey in mid. Xalia's on the right-hand side. Ataraxia's just going to pick up that red buff on his way. They may go for this.
They're clearing out the waves. They actually will go for Raffer. Is going to be able to try to tank up the Phoenix, but
Okay.
a great ultimate from WhoDaBest, just getting them out of there.
Xaliea just teleported in too, and they know who the best ult is now on cooldown. It's Ducky that's on the front line trying to slow them down. Middle Phoenix is getting weakened. Funballer's back up. Lobster's back up. Faeles is up in 10. Space and time could get fine any moment, and it does. Not just yet, though. We're still looking for the extra damage that comes through. PrettyPrime getting beat down by WhoDaBest. They can't kill WhoDaBest. Ducky's clone still giving chase. As Prime looking to get some damage off. They're going to kill off the clone. But Obey do not get the Phoenix.
Everyone is so low. That middle Phoenix on its last leg, sitting less than 25% health. And it's SK Gaming that are feeling confident to be able to lead the charge. Keep in mind, all these Fire Giants that are being completed is the Enhanced Fire Giant. That's going to allow them to deal 30% additional damage to structures.
Man, I miss Snowball.
I like casting 65-minute games. That's my kink.
You silenced me, Tolly. Not many people silence me in a cast, but that was definitely one where I was silenced. It's definitely not my kink. I'll tell you that much. But it has been a good game. I'm not going to deny that. It's been a good game because there's been some fantastic plays from both teams. A couple of mistakes here and there, but that's what you expect because technically it's mistakes that win you games. Mistakes by the opposition and capitalization of yourself. And that's exactly where we're at this time around. Fire Giant due up in 50 seconds. The Phoenix on the right-hand side is respawning relatively soon, probably another minute or so until that's back up. And that'll be another 3 or 4 waves of fire minions barreling down that right-hand side, but it's not too difficult for Obey to defend that.
The one good thing about such a long game for both of these two teams is there's so many instances that they can look back in and evaluate certain late game team fights. Like, okay, this is what we did right, this is what we did wrong, this is what we needed to avoid, this is how we should have positioned ourselves. Obey are definitely kicking themselves for maybe even just allowing Janus to go through.
You know,
it was Thoth that was first pick, so I don't fault them for that, but banning Kamazos and Susanoo as opposed to Janus, I think they're definitely going to look back at that and be like, hey, listen, well, no longer shall we allow this Janus on SK.
You know what, Tolly? I think whoever loses this game loses the set. Because this is demoralizing. When you go this late and lose a game, the demoralizingness that comes through from this game causes so many problems for you. How do you pick yourself back up and walk back into lane in game 2? Go, okay, let's go again.
You need to have such a very positive atmosphere around you, and maybe even that 6th man, whether it's coach or otherwise, just to sit in and be that outside observer that has a lot of good objectivity to mention here that no one's really going to have any issues with.
It's a good point. Let's see what happens then. As SK now have the Fire Giant once more grouped up. As 4 on the right-hand side, Lawbster in the mid lane. This is a weakened Phoenix, but Obey are happy to try and defend this. Soul Reaver and Blink definitely still available for iRaffer with the Blink Cataclysms if he so chooses. Just looking for the prime opportunity of having multiple members grouped, specifically the carries.
That's very true. Lawbster will split push middle lane as he should. Global presence very strong. That angle cutting diagonally. There's not much time to really react to that ultimate either.
Time dashing onto Prime, and Prime's the one under pressure. Ulted as well by WhoDaBest, taking him completely out of the fight. Around the back, Lawbster now joins the fray, but Ataraxia going to try and zone him back. Middle Phoenix still stands. Blinking from iRaffer. Cataclysm used. Beads burnt on Janus and on Soul there in that little skirmish. Phoenix still alive.
Still going into the back line as Ducky jumping onto Ataraxia. Needs to be mindful here about the CC that's going to follow up through the final judgment. Not on the mark.
Didn't find a home, and Twig's down to half health already, but heals back up. Great knockup from Xaliea, but Xalea's way too low. Xalea's off the map. WhoDaBest answered back by Ataraxia, though. Ataraxia's swinging high for high heaven, and no one's really focusing him. The right-hand Phoenix is still alive. For the love of God, kill a Phoenix!
They're trying so hard here, Enderman, but they just cannot find it for the life of them. These respawn timers are over 95 seconds. Once WhoDaBest and Xaliea died, I saw it was about 96, 97. Time spent dead. Ataraxia is about to break DM Brandon's record.
Totally.
What was the record?
What, DM's record?
When he was, yeah.
I don't know. When we was playing the Afro game?
Yeah.
It didn't matter. He was always going to be dead forever. We all knew that going into it. Notice that the left-hand Phoenix, however, got lower than the right-hand Phoenix. Can we just notice how long that fight took? This left-hand Phoenix has only been focused by minions. Winions.
That's true.
Maybe Winions win this game. Maybe Winions win this game.
That's very possible. The way the AI works now, if it enters the zone of a tower or a Phoenix, it's just going to focus the actual objective itself. It will not hit the other minions.
Maybe this is a game where all 10 members die, and we have to watch the minions for 80 seconds end the game. How cool would that be?
No. That would not be cool at all.
I just want the game to end.
I don't. I enjoy casting.
Are you really?
Yeah, 70 minutes of hot, intense action.
Totally, I'll be fine with that, but you know what?
This is high, intense XXX 20 to 17 action between Obey and SK.
It's game 1, though.
Yeah.
That's my only... Like, if this was game 3, I'm like, yeah, no problem. But game 1? Thank God it's not a best of 5. 70 minutes in. Neither team want to try and make a move outside of their own base. SK definitely the ones in the advantageous position. I'm surprised to see Obey have fallen so far back, but they've got to respect the Janus. That's the problem. This is why Obey can't really contest Fire Giants anymore, is because if they accidentally go the wrong direction, then space and time fires to the back line, and they're on your Titan killing it without you being able to do anything about it.
And he still doesn't have the chrono spending. He didn't opt for the cooldown reduction like you talked about. He wants to still get the damage off.
He did change his boots, though, so he's got 20% CDR in that build now, which is the only adaptation I can really see in that. Prime with just one of the power potions, no 3k potions yet. Can we see Golden Hand? Might as well. All right, so it's Twig next. No, it's Ullr next.
Yeah, Ataraxia is going to be
the one. What did Twig
the one.
just do? Twig just spent gold. I don't even know what he did.
He might have bought a 3k potion and used it.
Not sure. I actually think he picked up Mantle of Discord. I think he just changed his build.
Yeah, he also got the Executioner here. Did end up selling the Crusher, like we talked about before. Those basic attacks are way better than the ability base for Erlang Shen. It's all about trying to set up your teammates, and shredding those protections allows Ataraxia to deal additional damage, even Xaliea.
I will say to you, all you fans at home who still tune in for this one, make sure you write down these builds. Print screen, because in fairness, this is as late as you're going to get in a game of Smite. And if you are never really sure what you should be selling and what you should be keeping, well, these guys here are showing you exactly what they believe to be the best. Yes, Talaria boots all the time.
That's right.
Leave
it's a lot of mobility.
Leave WhoDaBest alone, Peckies. He's new.
Well, he's not doing it in a Milsey style where he sells the boots to pick up the Witchblade, to pick up Relic Dagger and all that good stuff. But it's still not a bad idea. That's a lot of mobility.
Oh, to be fair, Rapper's still got him too, so, you know. Mobility. It's the extra 3%, I believe.
It's 18 versus
it's
25.
18 versus 25. Why did I say 3? 7. Math is hard. Even the cameraman.
Thanks, Peckies.
That's the most accurate the cameraman's been all game, isn't that right, chat? At least we're actually catching some fights now.
You're even taking it outside the game.
I am now.
Towards Peckies.
I am now.
Man.
That's what happened.
I heard you on the cast last set, by the way, talking smack about my Ullr solo lane.
Yeah, well, I didn't lie.
What do you mean?
What did I lie about? Did you go 5 and 12?
I doubt it was 5 and 12.
It was 5 and 12.
It was not because of
Did you go
solo.
3 and 0 at the start of the game?
More like 4 and 0.
Okay, cool. So that makes it worse when I said your scoreline at the end of the game was 5 and 12.
Yeah, or a Willish. Or they're a Willish jungler, like hard countering.
Yeah, that's what happens. 12 deaths. So SK group on the right-hand side. One more time. Lawbster goes back towards mid, looking for the space and time to end all space and times and end this game and let me move on to game 2. WhoDaBest will lead in the charge. Ducky will follow up soon after. Meanwhile, Ataraxia is just keeping Lawbster in check in the mid lane and not allowed him to pressure up. Lawbster may want to swing around to the left-hand side, push those minions in, and maybe even split the difference using those portals to give himself even more.
You know what would be hilarious, actually, if Lawbster positions himself on the right side of the map through a space and times towards the left and gets the left side Phoenix.
They could do that. They could do that, but will
okey-doke.
SK think about the okey doke?
That would be one heck of an okie doke with those minions.
Shouldn't the bases run out of minions at some point?
How would the game end?
I mean, you just have to backdoor it then. I mean, this is an endless supply of minions. I don't know there's an army in the world that can have this many minions die over and over again. Like this.
I like your idea of Titan starting to roam the world here. Battleground of the gods, right side Phoenix, SK Gaming trying to go in. Cataclysm defensively, PrettyPriMe in trouble.
Faeles is after Prime, and Prime's looking to get his ult off, but he doesn't get it off in the right target. Dash through from Faeles means Ducky gets credit for the kill. Focus is not on the Phoenix, it's on towards Xaliea at the moment. Or the backline, which is going to be CaptainTwig. Ducky getting relatively low. WhoDaBest tanky enough. Funballer gonna get a kill. Twig gets Faeles though. Funballer gets a double. But the Phoenix is still alive, Totally. What the hell?
They're still trying to siege it down. Ataraxia trying to escape here. It's Ducky stunning out iRaffer. Phoenix will fall. This is where SK can end. Ataraxia needs to heal up for a little bit. iRaffer with the knock up. The rest of SK, they're backing off, Hindu.
Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. You know why, Totally?
What?
Because they did that before and through the game.
What?
In towards mid they're going to go, though. The Phoenix is available. If they can get one more pick, this will be game.
They should be able to find the win there, honestly. There is no Cataclysm from iRaffer, but either way, will go dive the middle. Phoenix, WhoDaBest, leading the charge onto Ataraxia. The stun will be on iRaffer instead. The okie doke.
Gonna end up dying here, gets his Cataclysm off, but falls for a portal to his demise.
105-second death timer for iRaffer.
That's a record if I've ever seen one. Now they go for the Titan, they ignore the Phoenix. This could be game 1. SK Gaming find the win against Obey after 75 minutes and 32 seconds.
Wow. What a game, Hindu man. I'm excited for the rest of this best of 3. SK Gaming showing their stuff here against Obey Alliance. Wow.
Great game 1. Game 2, what do we need to see change?
Ban Janus. I don't want to see it from SK Gaming any longer. They banned away Kamazats and Susanoo, the first 2 bans, instead granting themselves Thoth. They wanted the Thoth, they got it, but they had to deal with the Janus.
So, question for all you guys at home. Who do you think MVP was? You had 75 minutes to decide on who you thought the MVP was, so pretty sure your decision should be very accurate here. What about you, Tolly?
It was, you know what? It was their own Titan for not falling. Their Titan was better than the enemy Titan.
I like that call. Let's head over to the desk and see what Tom and Agro have to say.
Nice quick action here in the afternoon, taking a look at what's going on between Obey and SK Gaming. And SK actually win.
You know, for that MVP poll, I really feel like the caster should be an option right there, because having to cast a 75-minute game is something that none of us can really say that we've done. The longest SPL game in history. Impressive. That's one word that you could use. Not the word that I would use, but you could use that.
Hindu and I have definitely casted a 75-minute game before.
Yeah, but that was like back in the day in like Challenger Cup.
Some
and that
weird
kind of stuff, right?
game.
Longest, as I said, the longest SPL game in history.
You are technically correct.
Have you ever seen a 105-second respawn timer in your life?
That I have not seen, actually. That was, that was a big
That's like
step.
actually enough time to get up and go to the bathroom when you die.
Probably.
Just be like, I'll be right back, guys.
Well, I mean, I guess it really depends on how far your bathroom is from your computer.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I'm just, you know, for me personally, it's pretty close, so I feel like I could do it.
I mean, I used to play in the attic when
No
I
one
lived with my
cares.
mother. So, Lawbster going to be the MVP
Thank
here.
you.
Fantastic stuff coming out of the mid lane for SK Gaming. The 4, 5, and
13.
slash line coming out from the mid laner here on the Janus. And Toli put it right. Don't want to see it again. This was too powerful. Really, Janus coming through in the clutch.
I mean, when you go 70-plus minutes, you're always looking at your mid-mages to be the ones to find the big plays, and plays like that are exactly what Lawbster was able to make. I mean, Thoth versus Janus, that's such a difficult late-game matchup because both can one-shot each other, and that's why I mean, even Ataraxia had a bulwark of hope to try and make sure that Lawbster wasn't going to do stuff like that to him.
Yeah, just cutting him down. Lawbster making a lot of noise here in the game number 1. Transitioning to game number 2. Curious to where he's going to go. This guy does have a pretty large god pull at the end of the day.
Exactly, and that's kind of what you need out of your mid laners right now.
Oh!
This is just the stuff that Lawbster was able to do for the majority of the game, and that's what you need to close out in one of these sort of insane situations.
You know, it's funny, coming up into this set, a lot of the questions that I was asking myself as I did my predictions and kind of just mulled over SPL week number 2 was, is Lawbster still an elite mid laner? Because SK Gaming just have not been winning, and looking at some of the tape, you find yourself questioning. But I think this game, against a team like Obey, who has struggled to find some wins, but definitely has the talent there, I think this was very telling for SK and Lawbster.
It's a good sign, but still, I don't know. I mean, you got to be able to close out this set if you're SK. They were able to find a win against Mouse Sports in their very first set of the year. They don't end up winning that set, and so they still are sitting with a 0, you know, in the win column. These one-game wins are nice. Winning a 75-minute game is better than losing a 75-minute game, but that's about it. You know what I mean? Like, you still had to play for 75 minutes. It still took you that long to have to close it out in a situation where they almost were able to end a couple times. It's tough in that spot.
But